Dope ass dude podcast. Transparent conversation. Real life stories. Hustling, grind, transparent conversation. Real life stories. Hustling, grind.
Hey, everybody. It's your boy, the best dude. Happy Monday, everybody. I'm so excited to be back with you guys on tonight. And you guys, can you hear me out there? Just want to make sure you all can hear me. What's going on? I see you out there in the comments already. So guys, I already know the preliminary things. If you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, if you don't mind, go ahead, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And while you're there, click on notifications so that you can be notified each and every time a new podcast or a new episode is uploaded to the site. And then if you are unable to make it on Monday or catch it on Mondays, you can always catch it on the go on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Again, that's Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And you already know you can watch it live every Monday at 7 p.m. on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. Again, that's Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. And getting preliminary things out of the way. If you are not following me on Instagram and TikTok, if you don't mind going ahead and following me on both of those platforms, you can find me at the Dope Ass Dude Podcast on both Instagram and TikTok. Again, that's the Dope Ass Dude Podcast on both Instagram and TikTok. And then you can go ahead and follow Thomas. You can follow him out on Instagram at the DG Club, and that stands for the Distinguished Gentlemen's Club. So I'm really excited to hear about that. But you can follow him there on Instagram at the DG Club. I'm gonna ask you guys a question before we get started. I see Pat has already answered, but what is one thing you wish the younger version of yourself knew? So go ahead and drop that in the comments. What is one thing you wish the younger version of yourself knew? So I'm really excited about having Thomas on the podcast on tonight. So a little bit of history. We both work out at the same gym. And one day I was actually not going to go to the gym. And I kind of like talked myself into it. And I'm moving slow and everything. And I walk into the locker room and I'm getting ready to get dressed. And then out come Thomas. And when he came out, he was like, "Let's go." And I was like, whoa, he caught me off guard and everything because his energy was like through the roof. And I'm like, I'm moving slow here and everything. And he was just really on fire. And then I went out and we ended up passing each other, and we stood there and we talked. And as we talk, you could feel like his love and his passion for life. And that is something that I like. I love that type of energy. And when I saw him and when I met him and we kept talking, I knew instantly this was somebody you all would love, because I know I love what he's doing, and I'm really excited tonight to hear about everything he's doing, and I know that you are as well. So, hey, what's up, Lori Verrett? How you doing all the way down there in Houston, Texas? What's going on? So, yeah, drop your location in the chat, too. Let's see where you are tonight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring Thomas on out, because he can talk about himself a little bit better than me. Thomas, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? Appreciate you having me on tonight, John. It's definitely a pleasure. Excited, a little apprehensive about, being on the podcast initially, but, our conversation, that we had at the gym, it was very good, very genuine conversation. And, like you said, I'm definitely excited, to be moving around, to be alive, to be here. So, in everything that I do, I like to display that type of energy because a lot of people, you never know what they're going through, and they just need a little boost, to get them going. So definitely appreciate the time. Appreciate you having me on, and definitely looking forward to it, and definitely want to do it again too.
Absolutely. So, Thomas, have you always been that way?
I would say I think from the working out standpoint, it's just something about working out that I just get amped up and excited about. And I felt, I just feel a certain way about going to the gym and about working out. And especially I would say as I've gotten older, um, it's almost like your age doesn't have to define how successful you're going to be, whether it's in business, whether it's athletics, whether in whatever kind of relationships or whatever failures you may have had. So I just, I just have a strong belief that you can get after it, regardless of what you've actually been through in life. So I would say that as I've gotten older, I've had a better understanding that God's brought me through certain situations that it ain't over until He says over. So I would to answer that question. As I've gotten older, I've had a better understanding about that. Um, that it's never too late for anything. God is the accelerator of time, and He controls time. So it's just a matter of what we believe and what programming, what are we listening to, and who are we listening to.
Yeah, I love that because in the gym, a lot of times you see people in there all the time, and I don't meet strangers, so I talk to everybody. I really do. But a lot of times you see people in the gym and people will pass by you and they don't even talk and all of this other kind of stuff. And I remember it was one day I was sitting in the gym and a lady passed by me and she passed by and then she circled back and she came and she said, like, you have such a beautiful smile. And I
Yeah.
said, thank you. And I kept it going. And then she came back again and said, thank you for that gift. And she was telling me like to continue to do that because you never know what someone else is going through, and the kindness even through a smile can lift someone up. And I saw that in you. You do that same thing, man.
100%. So I was in the gym. I would say I want to say it was about 3 months ago, and I ran into an older gentleman, and he said to me, he's like, "Man, these weights are gonna kill me." And well, are you saying that because you're older? I said, the mind controls the body, not the body control the mind. I said, whatever you tell yourself that you can do, you can do. And I said, well, flip that around. I said, let's get it. Like I was telling you, let's go. So I was, so as I was talking to him, it clicked for him, and he was like, "Man, you're right." He said I used to come to the gym with my son all the time, and he said, if you see me talking to the wall over there, I'm not talking to the wall. I'm talking to my son. He committed suicide um, about a year or so ago, and it kind of I kind of just paused because I wasn't expecting that, but I was just being genuinely nice, being myself, and just trying to encourage him because it seemed like it was more than just the weights he was having issues with. It was something else he was dealing with. So I was encouraging him that, hey, let's get it. You can make it happen, whether you 20 or whether you're 70. And that resonated with him, and that opened up the conversation, the dialogue for him to talk about his son, and we crossed that bridge and we started talking about that, and I encouraged him and I told him that I'll be praying for him because like you said, you never know what somebody's going through, and a lot of people put up walls like everything's okay, and a lot of times it's not okay. It's just as men, we tend to hold everything in, and the man up conversation is, who are you going to go to? Because as men, we're supposed to carry all this weight of everything. Something didn't work out, you got to man up for this. If you failed in business, man up. Failed relationship, it's your fault, man up. So a lot of times, you have situations to where people don't have an outlet, especially if they don't have a relationship with God. They don't have an outlet, or they don't feel comfortable talking to other men about whatever issues that there may be. And working out is going to open the door for a lot of those things. It's therapy mentally, spiritually, and God, created one body for us. So we are spirit, but created one body. So if we don't take care of that body, whatever other endeavors we have, it's not going to happen because you're not going to be healthy enough to to carry those out.
Yeah, yeah. And before we get ahead of ourselves, because I mean, I already see myself about to dive in. So, so Thomas, you have a couple of businesses. You have two businesses, your property, and then you have the meal prep business. Talk a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so we have I have Jordan Taylor Properties. What we do residential. We do fix and flips. We're working on some commercial developments. The long-term goal is to build out strip centers, apartment complexes, multifamily, group home type of scenarios where we can, we have a housing shortage in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and pretty much all over the country. So we want to provide affordable housing for people. And then also for the homeless, I think you and I spoke about that too. Our goal is to provide housing, food for the homeless. So starting with, providing food through our other business, then we'll provide housing for them and then provide jobs for them. So we have to provide the food, provide the jobs, then provide the housing for them that way they can be self-sufficient and take care of themselves. So that's the long-term goal, is to be able to do, I would say our goal is to be able to house up to 3,000 to 5,000 people annually. It takes resources to be able to do that, and it takes time. So those are some of the things that we're currently working on. With the meal prep, things that we do, because I have a restaurant background, we had a restaurant and food truck. Our goal with the meals were to provide healthy alternatives for people. A lot of times people are having issues not necessarily because they're a certain ethnicity or whatever, it's what they're eating. So providing healthy alternatives for people, regardless of what areas you're from. There's a lot of, in the southern areas of Dallas, a lot of the food places, it's fried chicken, it's this, it's that, and they don't have healthy alternatives to help sustain a workout schedule or being able to stay focused or whatever, because they're having issues having to deal with diabetes or high blood pressure, all these different types of issues based off of not just genetics, it's based off of what they're eating. So all of those go hand in hand with working out. So you got the nutrition is 80% more important. Probably I would say 80% of the working out is going to come from the nutrition. So it's kind of 80-20. So if your nutrition is not on point, you can work out 7 days a week and you're not going to see any changes in your body. So for people that are on the go, working an 8 to 5 type of situation, our goal is to provide, meals for them where they can grab them and go type of scenario. And then the same, with the homeless, is to be able to provide food for them. And, people that are really in need, and it's not a cliche thing, it's something genuinely that we're doing from the heart to be able to help other people. Because at the end of the day, none of this resources, wealth, whatever you want to call it, none of that's going to follow us when we depart from here. So it's, are you a good steward of, what God has blessed you with? So that's the thought process behind this.
Yeah, I love that. And the thing with eating healthy or whatever, trying to eat clean, or even with working out, I think a lot of times the thing that gets people, they think like everybody that's going to the gym, they're trying to be fit. It's not always about being fit. It's just about the quality of life that you're going to live.
Right.
And that was like, I had a sister that passed, and she was or obese. I mean, she would be considered obese, and she passed due to complications from her weight. Now, working out probably wouldn't have. Her day was the day that she passed. That was the day God ordained, destined for her to pass. But I just hated the quality of life she lived
Right.
the last couple of years. Like, she really wasn't as mobile as she wanted to be, and like I just want people to not work out because you want a six pack. Just work out as long as you live in a good life and not depending on medication and all of that type of stuff.
100%. I mean, nutritional part of it is like I said, is 80% of it. However, you have to move. So, a lot of what we're doing with, the strong in season and everything, the whole, I wouldn't say it's a movement, it's more of a lifestyle and how we live. This is how I live. So, I mean, I work out probably anywhere from 5 to 6, 7 times a week, consistently every week. And I'm not saying that everybody has to do that. However, as you age, as you get older, it's going to be it will be more challenging for you to get up out of the bed. Certain exercise you can do is going to help you, for just typical movement, carrying groceries, those kind of things, and also the quality of life. So the nutritional aspect, and then also the working out, is going to help you be more focused on the job. Whatever you're doing if you're doing something at church, a lot of, pastors maybe after, preaching and they sweating and falling down because they're not healthy. So it's kind of like, you can't get up there and preach on Sunday for an hour where you hadn't moved your body the rest of the week. It doesn't work. So all those things go together, whatever it may be. So you walk in the room, you have more confidence, and people know, I mean, that's delayed gratification in terms of the discipline part of it, from the nutrition to the working out. So all of those things are, important, and they carry over into just day-to-day living, whether you work in a job, whether you're a professional athlete or athlete in high school, college, or whether you just, you're running a podcast, or whether you just, you're working a job daily. So all those things, they carry over, nutrition and also the working out part of it.
Love it. I love it. So, Thomas, well, why do you think people allow age to slow them down? Because I think sometimes when we hit certain ages, we feel like, oh, I'm not able to do this here, or you get one ache in your knee and you're like, oh my God, I'm breaking down. But you kind of had that same ache when you was in your 30s, but it causes you to slow down.
Right. I think it's consciousness, the state that we're in, mentally and spiritually. Let me kind of slow down and make sure I get this where it didn't, where people can follow what I'm saying. A lot of people have the desire to do things, is what they, been told that they can't do because of certain things. So that desire, whatever that desire is put in your heart to do, you can achieve it. It doesn't matter what it is. Give you an example. Like a baby walking. The baby's not told to, hey, I want to walk. The baby just has a desire to want to walk, and then they get up, they fall over, they stand up, they roll over, but they still have that desire to, continue to keep going until they're able to start walking. The same thing with anything. So as we get older, we get into a situation to where, oh man, I'm 45, I'm 60, it's too late, because the society tells us that it's too late. Society says, oh, when you get older, you start seeing all these, the commercials on TV, and oh, you need to take this, you need to do this. And a lot of it is discipline and nutrition, and working out will solve a lot of problems. And a lot of people, it's just, like somebody just posted, it is a mind thing. So it's what you're telling yourself. I think Henry Ford had a quote, the man that says he can and the man that says he can't are both right. So what are you telling yourself? who are you listening to? Um, you know, God created us to be able to do all things. He said we can do all things. So just do you believe it? And I'm not trying to make it into a spiritual conversation, but it is all connected because we are spirits. A lot of you, they want to take it out of, they collapse context on it, but it's true. So just like, it's what you believe. So the same, I want to hit, I want to say this, and then just think about this. So the woman with the issue of blood had issues for 12 years, right? But she kept persisting. She kept persisting. You had to be persistent. She kept persisting. She kept going, and she was not to be denied. So as we get older, whether you're 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever that desire is that God has put in your heart, continue to persist because you will be able to achieve that. You just don't quit and have the belief that, you can do it. That desire was put there by God.
Yeah. And I love how you said is when you ask the question, who are you listening to? Because I think that's a problem with a lot of us is our circle, our crowd, our tribe, or whatever. They're feeding us our thoughts. They are affirming what we're thinking already,
Right.
and yeah, you have to block that noise. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you got to block it. An example. So several years ago, I was very successful in the car business, and I thought that I reached the pinnacle of what you call success. It went up like a rocket ship. I was in Dove Magazine. I was on Entertainment Tonight. Um, you name it. I dealt with a lot of NFL and NBA guys all over, entertainers, CeeLo Green, just a lot of Ludacris, a lot of different celebrities, and then it crashed in 2008. And I was in my mid 30s at that. I think it was 30, 33, 34, somewhere around there. And because it was such a huge fall, because it shot up, and as quick as it shot up, it seemed like it just collapsed. There was a period of time to where I was depressed. I was thinking that it was over with. And I was reading something, passage scripture was talking about, you know, not giving up, God still is, God's in control. So it's just, I could have easily fell into the depression route and start drinking, start doing all these other, things or whatever to fall off the wayside. But I just started, digging deep in and just like, look, this is not the end of the story. And it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter if you, from the United States. It doesn't matter if you're African American. It doesn't matter if you what race you are. What it's what you believe to be true about you in this situation, and you just have to continue to persist and continue to move forward. And if God did it once for you, He'll do it again. But you just have to believe it and walk in that state. The end, as He said, the end was declared at the beginning. So you got to start. You got to envision whatever it may be. Like with your podcast, I'm sure you had to. Everything is created twice, so you have to envision it first before you start doing the actual podcast. So a lot of times, don't you have to be around people that are success minded. What I mean by success minded, working toward a meaningful purpose is success. We put a money value on success as society wise. Oh, if you didn't make $100 million, you're not successful. That's not true. If you impacted one or two, three, four, 5 people, it was a success. It may not be the money value part of it, but it was still a success because you set out to do something and you actually did it. That is a success in itself.
I love it. I love it. So your platform, Strong and Seasoned, when and how did you start this?
Well, it started, so the journey kind of goes back to back in 2008, I got up to like 270 pounds, 270, like 275. So there was some mental things that I was dealing with. And I'm not 275 now, but I got to like 270 pounds. So I look completely different from what I looked like then. So I was like, but I've always been an athlete, and I always been an athlete. So I was kind of like, man, this is not gonna work. So it stemmed from there. It started the progression started from there. And it's just I wanted to be able to impact other people that were my age, and then show that, look, just because you're in your 50s, 60s, or even 70s, it's never too late to be able to start something new. It's never too late to change your life. I mean, it's never too late to change your identity. That didn't happen until we're not here anymore. So it's just, that's where that stemmed from. So it's, for people that are older, have the gray hairs, that have a few more aches, that's where the strong in season derived from. And it's a lot. I run sprints. I do, all of, everything that, complete workout. I do it all. Things that guys that are in their 20s, teens and 20s, I may not can do it as effective, but I'm getting after it. So I just want to be able to show that, hey, age doesn't mean anything. We have more wisdom as we get older. So I may not be able to do 100 reps, but hey, I can knock out 10 or 15 or whatever. And just be competitive. Be competitive. And whatever it is you do. So, mentally, just be competitive. Because that's, there's no wisdom or knowledge where we're going. So you can't take it, none of it with you. So it's just a matter of being an imparting into other people that help them along their journey. And you want to be able to do that, but you have to be the example first. I can't be walking in the door sideways and talking about being strong in season. That's not going to work. So people want to see not just a podcast; they want to see some word of fruit. Let me see something behind that.
Love that. So
I mean, put myself together first before I started doing that. I'm talking about pull-ups, and I can't pull myself up.
And y'all, he's like a beast in the gym, like for real. He really be hitting it hard. He hits it like really, really hard. His shirt was soaking wet. I barely break a sweat. He out in here doing his thing. So let me ask you this here. So and because it's funny, and I see Gay Arbuckle. She's a national recording artist, and she lives here in Dallas. And I never forget, her and we had a conversation, and she had recently turned 60. And in that conversation, now I see Gay in this like enormous facet. I do. I see her like huge in my head. She's huge. And when we were talking, it was like baffling for me because she was questioning a little bit whether she still had any relevancy at 60. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, what are you talking about? Like, you Gay Arbuckle. She's one of those people you put the in front of it. You are the Gay Arbuckle. And it's so funny, but we allow and sometimes it's not even the world. Sometimes it's the in of me, the inside enemy that is telling us, like, nobody's going to listen to you anymore. And no one is going to listen to your music, or no one wants to hear anything that you have to say. Like, how do you fight those voices that constantly find themselves in your head?
Well, again, I think it goes back to what you're meditating on. And to be able to share experiences with people. So and not be the person that talks about what I used to do. So in order to reach the younger generation, or say somebody a little bit younger than you, because a lot of people are looking for guidance and wisdom and the leadership. So it goes back into working out. Like, prime example, a couple of days ago, I'm in the gym working out, And I was just like I was messing with you about let's get it, you know. So it was a younger guy in there, about 22, 23 years old. So he was sitting on the turf, and I said, hey, I'd already done 3 rounds of what I was doing. And I said, hey, let's get in here with me. And like that. So I pulled him. I didn't know him. He had his earpods in. I said, hey, let's get in here with me. Let's go. And we did 3 rounds. He did 3 additional rounds with me. I did the sledge, I did the rope, and I did the hex squat. So after he did one set, he was like, he was about to fall out. He said, man, what's going on with you? What's wrong with you? He thought I was crazy. And I said, so a lot of it is because of the belief that I have that I can accomplish it, and what I'm listening to, what I'm feeding. So whatever you feed the most is going. I mean, it's garbage in, garbage out. If I'm constantly feeding myself with negativity, then what do you think I'm going to see? More negativity. But if I'm feeding myself with the word or something positive, whatever it is that you believe, what you believe true about you, and what your abilities are, that's going to win. So for believers, they believe the word, you believe, hey, I can do this, then I can do it. But it's what you constantly feed, what you're listening to, we have 2 eyes, 2 ears, so, and we have 1 mouth. So what am I seeing? What am I looking at? What am I listening to? Who am I listening to? So all those things, and what am I telling myself? Like you said, yeah, the beast within, or the end. What am I saying? The law of assumption, all those things. What am I suggesting to myself? It goes back to identity. If God created me, then He created me in His image, right? So if He created me in His image, then there's nothing that I cannot achieve. Whether I'm 1, whether I'm 70. Cliche, 1 year old, but I mean, I understand that 1 year old, you're not going to be able to. But just understanding you're not defined by your age, is what you believe to be, what you believe about yourself. So I mean, and those are the things. And a lot of people is, like I said, we're in the social media age, and people just jump on Instagram, or jump on whatever. I don't know all the platforms, because I'm not on all of them. But a lot of people, they see all these things and they feel like, man, my life will never be like that. And a lot of people don't understand. People are doing that for clicks and for monetary value. They're not living that life. But, the people that we encounter on a daily basis, whether it's going to the gym, going to the store, going to church, or whatever it may be, those are the people that you're going to impact more, because you have a face-to-face connection with them, or you can say something to them that can impact them or change their life.
Love that. Yeah, that whole internet, social media thing, that is causing a lot of people to question themselves and doubt what they have, because they are comparing their perception of someone to their actual reality. And you can't do that, because when you compare anytime, you're always going to come up short, because you don't know what that person is going through to have what they have. You don't know what they're doing to keep what they have. So you just have to find a place in which you are happy with what you have, and that's enough.
Correct. 100%. I mean, that's, a lot of people may have achieved that success through a trust fund, through other things. What was it? Booker T. Washington had made what was it quoted about? It's not the level that one achieved in life, it's the obstacles that they had to overcome to get there. So what did you have to overcome to get to that position on social media? And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with social media. It's a great platform, and it's helped millions of people all over the world. I just think that the microwave society that we're in, it's this instant, quick gratification. It's quick, and sometimes God can bring you through a situation quick. A lot of times it's a learning situation for you to learn not what to do, and learn what not to do. And those things a lot of times happen in business. That happened to me in business, and that's why I realized that, hey, if I did it once, I can do it again, because it's never too late to be able to, to rebound. You just have to be resilient and dig in and believe that you can do it, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of how long how long you think it's going to take. But if you just continue to live in the end of whatever it is, whatever it may be, I don't know, you may want to have 100 million followers, but if you living in that, the end of it, John, in terms of, hey, I'm envisioning this, I'm walking in, it's like mind movies. Whatever you envision, because imagination is real. The imagination that we live in is real. Once you live in it long enough, then those things will start happening. You'll start attracting those things. You'll attract all of those things. If I have a bad imagination that something always bad is going to happen to me, and I start speaking it or whatever, then you're going to attract those also. So that's is what we're believing, what we're inputting, what we're listening to, who we're listening to, and I mean we have to pray, man, and dig in. We have to
Love that.
pray and just and stay consistent and persistent.
Wow. And you're so right. It is so important that you are careful and you guard what you, like you said, what who you're listening to, what you're watching, because you're constantly feeding yourself these things. And if you constantly feeding yourself, you're gonna eventually begin to believe it. This past Saturday, I was at lunch and I was at lunch with about 15 people, and it was a great time and everything. But one of the guys that was at the table, he says out loud, I was surprised he said this, but he says a woman loses her value the older she gets to a man. She loses her value to a man. And no lie, I wanted to get up and punch him in his face, but but I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Is this the message you want to give out? And do you really believe that? But it's probably some woman at the table probably questioned herself because of what she heard. And sometimes when people say stupid stuff like that, you just got to, you got to block that stuff. But people do believe it.
Yeah, people believe it. Well, society says, a lot of it. He's probably picking up something from what he saw on social media and what people, say, about certain situations. I don't know where that's been quoted at. I mean, that's his thought process and reasoning.
Yeah.
I mean, there's what a fool believes. So everybody believes something. So just because he said it, it doesn't necessarily make it true. There's a stigmatism about African American males, black women. It's all kind of connotations that are running out there, depending on who you want to listen to, and they're pushing that narrative to degrade a group of people, to keep people oppressed, to keep you in certain positions, like the black job comments that are made, that was made, by a certain politician. So I'm just saying. So I mean, those people run with those narratives, and they'll continue to run with those because they start believing those things. So it's whatever you start. If you start and we know it's a lie, but if you can say it long enough, you start believing that lie. So the same thing is whatever you say about yourself. So if you say, "Hey, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm intelligent, I'm capable, I can do it," then guess what? What's going to happen? You're going to start believing that. But if I'm hearing, from my wife or my kids, or I'm hearing from John saying, "Well, I can't do it. It's never going to happen. It never works out." Then yeah, I mean that can be true for you too. So again, it's just information travels so fast now, and it seems like the negativity of everything is what's popular. It made wrong right and right wrong. So it's just, it's baffling to me. And we have, kids that are growing up in this society, to where, they run with those things. Well, such and such said this, and I saw this, and then, whereas, when we grew up and our generations or whatever, we didn't have information as quick. Um, so you have to be careful on, who we're listening to, who our kids are listening to, um, who they're told that they can be and can't be, because there's no limit to what we can achieve, and it doesn't matter. Colonel Sanders, I think, was in his 70s when Kentucky Fried Chicken really kicked off and got going. So um, I mean, you go back into Sarah and Abraham, in the Bible, in terms of times where, hey, you're gonna conceive. So I mean, it goes back to what does God say about your situation. So I mean, it's just you just got to continue to keep going.
Yeah, I love that. What does God say? And I think that's the question people have to ask themselves. Like, what does God say about me? And what do I say about me? Because we, our voices are louder than anybody's voices when we're speaking negative in our head. We hear ourselves constantly repeating to ourselves that we are not enough. Because whether we realize it or not, when we are just scrolling on social media, most things that we are seeing is telling us we are not enough. Like, we're in the gym, so we probably see a lot of fitness stuff on there. There's always going to be somebody fitter than us, and if we're
Yeah,
not careful, we will start comparing
yeah,
ourselves to
yeah,
them, and feeling like I'm not enough, or I have to do more. And then you go to all of these extremes because we're constantly feeding ourselves, you're not enough.
yeah.
So you got to be careful of what you're doing, man.
Yeah, you do. I've fall victim to that quite often. So I wouldn't say, you know, I would be lying to myself and to the public. I mean, because you're like, man, I can do that, I can do this. So it, it is a thief of comparison. So you have to be careful with that, because the temptation of wanting to be this or wanting to do that. I mean, it's challenging. I mean, not to covet, and I'm saying, but it's just that's a natural thing a lot of times when you see something or something, and you have to be very careful, not to get in that situation. But it does happen. I mean, it just we're we're humans, we're emotional, whether you're a man or woman. I mean, it happens from time to time, so you just have to hone it back in and realize it, before it goes into turn to something else. So
Yeah. And I see we got a comment out here. Christopher said, if you want that to be true, then you'll continue to speak it. It's unfortunate that we sometimes speak before thinking and not understand others may be influenced, the youth in particular, by what's said. That is so true. That's so
100%.
true. Yeah, you got to be
100%.
careful what you spewing out your mouth. So how do you stay motivated?
How do I stay motivated? So different things. So like I said, we grew up. Well, I grew up. We had rock.
So, Thomas, if you can hear me, you are okay. He had went out. So, okay. So let's ask you guys how. Okay. So, how do you stay motivated? If you're going to come in, I'm going to give Thomas a little bit of time to come back in. If how do you stay motivated? How do you stay on your goals? And are you allowing aid to keep you from moving ahead and moving forward with your life? Drop a comment. Let's talk about it. Give them a few more minutes. So y'all drop a comment. How do you stay motivated and intentional about your goals and things you want to see happen in your life? How do you guys do that? And Laura, I love your comment earlier. Never let people tell you what you can't do in this world based on anything at a late age. I love that. I'm here talking to Thomas now. Okay. So Christopher said, learning myself, and one of those ways is by surrounding myself with those that hold me accountable. I love that. I love that. Tiffany, Miss Till said, motivation comes and goes. I have to be disciplined with my goals. Yeah, and that's the thing with being motivated and being passionate about something. Not every day do you wake up 100. Some days you're going to wake up 20. Some days you're going to wake up 30, and then next day you may wake up fully 100. But on those days, hopefully you did something the day before that kind of balances out the other days that you weren't 100. So let's see if we can get Thomas back. Thomas, can you hear me, Thomas?
Yes, sir. I'm not. My apologies. What
No,
happened?
man.
I can
You
hear you. Can you
okay?
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You got that HEB Wi-Fi.
No, it's not HEB. It's supposed to be AT&T, but it may be. You know how they package it. You know, at Whole Foods and say it's a whole food product, and they went down to the Chinese mart and got it anyway. But yeah, so I'm got, hey, you have to be careful with the 365 product. Everything's not organic, is what they
Not
advertise it
organic.
to be. So
Yeah. So you were telling us
not
how you
organic.
stay. You were telling us how you stay motivated.
Oh man, it's just you know, I, it started with mental stimulation. So a lot of it has to do with I listen to a lot of different. Of course, I read the Bible daily, consistently. I listen to like Neville Goddard, a lot of different people who are talking about, being in conscious, what you're affirming, what you believe. Um, and it just, taking action. So I think a lot of motivation for a lot of people, taking action with that action. So you have to take you have to take those steps, and once you get stronger in whatever area it may be, whether it's reading, whether it's working out, as you get stronger in that particular area, you have more confidence, and that confidence is going to help you have more motivation. And then it's going to be challenging for you. You'll have the energy and the strength and the belief that you can achieve other things once you start having some success in other areas that you tried. So a lot of it has to just continue to try, being resilient, and just continue to try different things to see what results you can get. So I I don't I believe that unstoppable in whatever I put my mind to do, and a lot of that is I seem like I logged out again. But
We,
those are the things that I do, man. It's just prayer, belief, and just continue to try different things.
Yeah, and I love how you said earlier in the conversation where you was talking about rebounding, and sometimes you do have to rebound. And I think that's something that we all need to understand is when you're passionate about something or you're just moving in life, there's going to be some times that it may seem like it's a failure. It may seem like you need to quit, or it may be a rebound moment. I like to call it a pivot moment because in those moments, maybe that is designed for you to do and try something different and move in a different direction. But it doesn't mean go sit on the sideline and give up on your dreams and your aspirations. And no, I mean, quitting is never an option. It's never an option.
No, No, quitting is definitely not, never an option. Is a lot of times it's a redirection, because whatever experience you gain from that, that's not lost. So a lot of people are like, man, I'm starting over. No, you're not starting over. Whatever you experienced previously, you have that experience that you had previously that you can take into whatever next endeavor that you've encountered. So that you're going into. So nothing's ever too late or nothing's too far gone. It's just, take those learning experience and that wisdom to the next endeavor. And God will, has a way of redirecting you until you get to the right place. And this is like navigation. It's like, hey, I can set my navigation to go to Houston, but I end up going north to Oklahoma. It's going to continue to redirect you until you get to the destination. But you just got to follow the direction. So a lot of times, we don't want to follow the directions. We want to circumvent and think that it's going to happen. So learn from it, redirect, and then once we redirect, get a good understanding of what direction that you're going into, and then just take your time. I mean, I think that was a question you had mentioned. What would I tell my younger self? Is there's no rush.
I love that.
Take your
There
time.
is no rush. So Thomas, if you could go back, and this is something I've asked every guest that's been on here this season, and I'm going to ask it to everyone that's out there in the comments. Put this answer, your answer in the comments. If you could go back in time and change something, would you change something? And if so, what would it be?
The carnal mind itself, of course, I would change a lot of things. Um, but based off of what I've learned from that, um, I don't think I would have learned what I've learned or what I have an understanding of now by changing anything. So I would say be a good steward of whatever that you're given, because whatever you mismanage, you lose. So we don't own anything. We're only managers of things that we have in our possession. We're managers of it. We're managers of relationships. We're managers of our jobs. We're managers of our businesses. We're managers of the monies that we have. But none of it we can take with us. So it's being a good steward of anything that that's come across my path. That would be one thing that I would say, is one, take my time and don't mismanage relationships and resources.
Love
Because
that.
I
And
mean
every
that
no, go ahead. I'm
I'm
sorry,
sorry, it
Thomas.
was a delay. That would be the thing that I would say. It's not, don't mismanage relationship and resources, because you don't know, even though you're resilient and you bounce back, you still got to deal with the consequences of the choices that you made, whether they're good or bad. If you made bad choices, there are consequences with those. A lot of times, God will allow you to sit in those consequences for you to be able to learn, so you don't make those mistakes again. And in business also, if I made bad choices in business, sometimes there's definitely consequences in those as well, whether it may be bankruptcy, whether it may be handling relationships poorly, all those different things. So I would say slow down, take your time, um, understand why you're doing it, and not mismanage the relationships, because that's, at the end of the day, that's the most important, is the relationships we foster along the way.
Yeah. I love that answer because it shows that you are happy with where you are. It doesn't mean that everything is what you want it to be, but you found a place of contentment and you realize that yeah, life is good. And I'm the same way. I'm exactly the same way. I wouldn't change anything. I'd be too afraid that if I alter something, it would change the life I know today. So yeah, I probably wouldn't even be podcasting if I changed something. So I probably wouldn't even talk to you at the gym. We wouldn't even be here tonight, Thomas. You'd be at HEB
Right.
getting a Wi-Fi.
Right, and my Wi-Fi is trouble tonight. I don't know what's happening today, but um, I don't know. It happens.
No, it's all good, man. So Tiffany said, with the experience and wisdom that I have now, of course, I would stop wasting time. That's pretty good. Lori says, I wouldn't change anything. I've learned so much and more wise now. Love it. Love it. And then Marquita said something earlier about this was about staying motivated. You have to constantly have daily talks and renew your thinking. I love that. So Thomas, what's next for you, man? What do we need to be out on the lookout for you?
Uh, so we're working on we're working on a group home project um, where we can get one project is going to have like 32 bedrooms in it, where we can get get some of the homeless people off. So that's one project that we're working on in Dallas. Um, but there's things that are in motion. But the biggest thing right now that we're working on is that project. And it's a new construction type of situation. So um, that's one of the main things that we're working on currently right now.
Okay. Well, I definitely look
The
forward to.
strong season.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. The strong and season projects. Once I get to, and then I'll follow up with you on that. Once we get a little bit further along with that, then we're going to start launching information on that. We will have a separate social media page for that, and I'll start posting that information on my personal Instagram page where people can follow it. And it'll talk about the meals, it'll talk about some of the workouts. I kind of give examples of some things that we're doing, how we're helping different people, whether it be we're geared toward older people, but I mean it's going to be something that we can help younger people on what to do, what not to do. So as they start aging, they'll know what to look for, and not get caught up in trends of, oh, I was 20 something and I could do that. Now I'm 40 something and I don't have to do this. No, you have to continue the process throughout. You can't ever really stop. It needs to just be a part of your lifestyle.
Wow. Well, I'm really excited to see you in the future, Thomas, because I know, like I said, your energy is through the roof. And y'all, once he does, launch strong in season, we'll have him back on the podcast so he can come and talk about it. Because I think everybody needs to experience Thomas in some fashion. Because, like I tell you, that day at the gym, I was like, who is this dude talking about? Let's go. I'm not up for it today. Like, leave me alone. But this brother here, his energy was like on fire. And I'm glad that I went to the gym that day. I think I even texted you later that day and said, now I know why I was at the gym because I was on my way home. I was talking myself out of going to the gym. And I was like, no, just go, just go, just go. And then as soon as I walk in, here you go, let's go. I'm like, oh, okay. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm more animated in the gym than I am on camera, and that's by design because my personality normally is just reserved and laid back. Um, but in the gym, it just brings out something completely different in terms of because you're amped up. I mean, you got to be. You can't what type of workout you're going to get if you come in there like lackadaisical. So you have to bring a certain type of energy in order to get the type of reward that you want, and that's for your body to change. So just it is what it is in terms of that side. So, but yeah,
I love it, man. I love it. So, guys, listen up. That is our time here tonight. And I'm really excited. I mean, really honored to have you on the show, Thomas. And you already know we connected forever, my brother. And we'll be talking. And I'm definitely going to get you back on. Guys, we will be back next Monday, 7 p.m., same time. My guest next Monday is Alana Johnson. And she's been on an extraordinary journey, too. And I've known Alana over 15 years and I've watched her like evolve and do some pretty fascinating stuff. So make sure you tune in next Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you're not following me on Instagram and TikTok, please go follow me, the Dope Ass Dude Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. And then follow Thomas on Instagram at the D as in David, G as in Grover Club. So the Distinguished Gentleman Club, DG Club. So go follow him out there. And yeah, look forward to seeing everybody on next Monday. All right, then. Peace.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Real life stories and transparent conversations, hustle and grind, love and relationships, with all the tools for living your best life. It's the Dope Ass Dude Podcast, the Dope Ass Dude Podcast.